Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the cheese production. In my previous lecture we are already discussing about the different types of the fermented foods. What are the fermented foods? Preferentially we are using such type of the fermented food because these are acts as an probiotic food responsible for giving the different types of the health benefits. Now the probiotic food, it means these are containing the live bacteria. So cheese, it is also one type of the fermented milk product. This cheese making procedure, it involves the coagulation of the major milk protein, that is the casein, and then separating the milk into the solid curds and the liquid whey. The liquid whey, it is completely get drained out, and the curds, these are get salted and shaped and left to ripen in a controlled environment, and through that process there is the production of cheese. Means these are the specific steps which are involved within the cheese production. The European Union, it is the most it is the country which is responsible for producing the more and more amount of the cheese within the worldwide. Now the major components or the major four components which are essential for the production of any type of the cheese, it involves the milk from which we are preparing this cheese, then the salt responsible for the salting procedure or required for the salting procedure, then the starter culture, that is the bacterial culture, specific type of the bacterial culture, and the rennet. This rennet, it is an enzyme responsible for the coagulation of the milk sample. These are the basic ingredients required for the preparation of cheese. Now, majorly during this cheese making procedure, this milk, coagulant or the bacterial cultures, these are utilized, and majorly the milk sample that we are going to utilize, these are any type of the milk sample we can prefer for that, that is the cow milk, sheep milk, goat milk, buffalo milk, or a blend of these milks, it can be utilized. And the coagulant, it is a substance which is added to the milk to help the solids to form out of the liquid portion, that is the rennet enzyme. Okay. Now within the cheese making, it is not only to do the milk proteins change, but so do its sugars. Means within the preparation or during the preparation of cheese sample or the cheese, majorly we are not focusing only on to the milk protein which is the casein, but along with that there is also the utilization of the milk sugar, that is the lactose. It is the main sugar, disaccharide sugar, which is present within the milk sample. It is also get fermented by the addition of starter culture, that is preferentially the lactic acid bacteria responsible for producing the lactic acid through the fermentation of lactose. Now the major steps which are involved within the cheese, it involves the pasteurization. It is the initial step which is involved within the process of the cheese making. Now preferentially, firstly we are selecting the milk for the production of the cheese. After that there is the pasteurization. This pasteurization procedure, it is essential for the removing the any type of the contaminating microorganisms which may be present within the milk sample. This pasteurization reduces the number of spoilage microorganisms and also responsible to give the good environment for the starter culture whenever we are added these within the milk sample. After that, after the pasteurization process, majorly the milk, it is get cooled within a vat after pasteurization up to the 32-degree temperature, and then there is the addition of the starter culture. Now the next process, it is the curdling process. Now during this curdling process, majorly there is the addition of the starter culture. Within this, preferentially for the preparation of the different types of the cheese, different types of the starter cultures, these are utilized, but the most common type of the starter cultures which are utilized within the cheese production, it involves the Streptococcus thermophilus and the Streptococcus cremoris or the Lactobacillus acidophilus. Now majorly after the addition of the starter culture, This begins to acidify the milk. The curdling step allows the bacteria to grow and begin the fermentation. Means along with the development of acidity, there is the fermentation process. It is get started. The rennet, it is an enzyme that acts on the milk protein, that is the casein, and is added and the milk coagulate. Means for the purpose of the milk coagulation, there is the addition of the rennet enzyme, which are responsible to form the lumps within the milk sample as a result of the coagulation of protein. After that, the milk, it is mixed and then left to settle while the junket forms, where the milk curdles and separates into the curd and whey. That is the solid curd, it is includes the solid portion, and the whey, it is the liquid portion. Now after that, the next process, it is separation of the liquid portion from the solid, that is the draining of the whey. The curds and the whey run from the cheese vat onto the cooling tables. These cooling tables, these are preferentially utilized for the purpose of to cool the curds and the whey, and for the purpose of separation of the whey from the curd. After the removal of or the complete draining of this whey, majorly the cream, it is removed from the whey and by centrifuge made into the butter. Then there is the protein. These are also get extracted from the whey for the different ingredients. In addition, the lactose, it is removed from the water and then used for the animal feed. Means all of the nutritional ingredient which may be present within the whey, these are completely get removed from that. Now the next process, it is the chiddaring process. After that, the obtained mixture, it is moved around onto the cooling table, allowing the whey to drain out through the central perforated channel. As the liquid, it is drained off, a solid mass, it is created, and these are called as the curd mat. And this process, it is considered to be the chiddaring process. In these pictures, you can observe this process of the chiddaring for the purpose of draining of the whey. Then these curd mats, these are cut into the sections and piled on the top of each other and turned periodically for the complete removal of the whey. And this process, which is called as the chiddaring process. Now the next process, it is the salting process. The curd pieces that we are obtains, these are fed into a mill and sliced into the pieces about half the size of the thumb. This ensures the salt can be uniformly mixed throughout the curd. Means for the proper salting of these pieces, majorly these are cut into the small pieces. The salt, it is added to act as a preservative and to prevent the cheese from going rancid during the maturing process. This salting process, it is also responsible for adding the specific flavor to the cheese. Now the next process within the cheese production, it involves the cheese ripening. In the cool room, the acidification of the cheese continues at a much slower rate, and this period, it is called as the ripening process. When it is the time to select the cheese, and grader decides which cheeses are the best eaten young and which should be left to ripen. Means on that basis there are the different types of the cheeses on the basis of the ripening period. And the last step within the cheese making, it is the packaging, which is the final stage of the cheese production, that is the slicing of the cheese and the packaging. The cheese blocks are then cut into the specific sizes and the packaged and get labeled. So it is the process for the cheese production. Now here within this diagram, you can observe the flow sheet for the production of cheese. That is, here within this flow sheet we can observe that there is the utilization of cow milk for the production of the cheese. Then there is the standardization, that is the ratio of the fats, casein, it is carried out. Then there is the pasteurization for the removal of the unwanted microorganisms or any pathogenic microorganisms or the spoiling microorganism from the milk sample. Then there is the cooling to the 37 degrees centigrade. After the pasteurization and cooling of the milk sample, then there is the addition of the starter culture. That is the Streptococcus thermophilus and the Lactobacillus bulgaricus. These are the two bacterial cultures which are preferentially utilized for the purpose of the preparation of cheese. If there are the different types of the cheese, within that there may be the change within the type of the starter culture, but the common starter cultures which we are going to used, it is the Streptococcus thermophilus and the Lactobacillus bulgaricus, and these are in the combination, that is 1:1. The same amount of both of the bacterial cultures, these are taken as an starter culture, and majorly the concentration of it is the 2% weight by volume. Then the important step within the cheese making, it is the renetting process. After the addition of the starter culture, then the renetting procedure, that is rennet, which is a specific type of the enzyme responsible for the coagulation of the milk sample. This process, it is maybe called as the coagulation step. Then there is the curdling of the curd, that is separation of the solid mass from the liquid whey, that is the whey and the curd, these are get separated. Then there is the cooking of the cheese curd for the separation of each amount of the liquid portion from the, or the any content of the liquid portion from the cheese or that solid part. Then there is the draining of the whey, removal of the whey sample or the liquid portion. After that, the chiddaring of the curd, that means there is the salting procedure. The desired acidity at which the curd will stretch in the hot water. Then there is the plasticizing, 80 to 85% for 2 to 3 minutes. Then there is the molding into the shapes, that is given the specific shape to the curd slices or the slices of these cheeses. Then there is the immersion in the chilled brine, and after that there is the packaging and storage. So it is a flow sheet for the cheese production. In this slide we can observe that there are the different types of the cheeses. Majorly these cheeses, these are get divided into the 5 different types, that is the fresh cheese, soft cheese, semi-hard cheese, hard cheese and the blue cheese. Within the fresh cheese we can observe the cottage cheese, cream cheese and the mozzarella cheese. Within the soft cheese, it is the belle pace, brie and the camembert cheese. Within the semi-hard, the cheddar cheese, Cheshire and the Derby cheese. Within the hard cheese, it is the Parmesan, Pecorino Romano and the Cavallo. These are the hard cheese. And in last, the blue cheese, it includes the Danish blue, Dorset blue and the Gorgonzola cheese. So these are the different types of the cheese. Preferentially, it is important to remembering these 5 different types, that is the fresh cheese, soft cheese, semi-hard cheese, hard cheese and the blue. And the most commonly utilized cheese includes the cottage cheese, cheddar cheese, then the mozzarella cheese. These are the common types of the cheese. Okay, so it is the all over information about the cheese manufacturing. So if you like this video, please subscribe my channel and also share this video with your friends. Thank you.